build a Disney-like customer experience for your roofing company. And this kind of stemmed out from a conversation that I had a few years ago on Roofer Growth Hacks on my podcast. I had interviewed somebody who had been in business for, I think he said 40 years, hadn't spent a single dollar on advertising, not a single dollar. Okay. And as I dug into that, because it was really interesting, it's really hard. How do you do that, right? Well, he said that the big part of it was simply following up with people after the sale. Okay, after the job, actually. Okay, he made a commitment to follow up every quarter with every single one of his homeowners. Um, and he grew his business that way because what happened over time was that he started getting referrals in, right? And every time that he would call, it was just simply a customer service call. Hey, how's the roof holding up? Right. Sometimes they would have him come out and fix something. Sometimes they would say, hey, we need a whole new roof because after 30, 40 years, guess what happens? Yeah, you're going to have to install a new roof. Right. So the great part about it was that he was creating essentially what we're going to be talking about here today. And this is this Disney-like customer experience, right? When I explained it to a couple of my clients, they're like, wow, that's really, really cool. And that's sets you above everybody else in the entire market. Okay. And that's really what we're looking for. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with something that I say in every single one of my workshops, or have at least for the past couple of years. Do what everyone else isn't doing, right? That's what sets us apart. And the deal with this, and it's something that I've been driving home to, our customers, our clients, our everyone who I talk with. And that's simply because when you do things that other people aren't doing, it completely 100% sets you heads and shoulders above everybody else in the market. And the problem that we're facing today in the roofing industry is that we've got PE coming in, right? Private equity that's coming in, buying up a whole bunch of businesses. Their customer experience has gone up a notch because of this, right? Because private equity, they understand that you've got to have a significantly better customer experience. And they're bringing a lot of experience with them from other business owners for that. So what we have to do as small businesses, if we're going to keep up with this, and if we're going to keep up with our industry, is that we've got to take it up a notch. Okay. Now, I said earlier that this all stemmed from that discussion that I had with that gentleman. This also started formulating after I read a book called Never Lose a Customer Again. Okay. I think Joey Coleman is the author on that one. You can see back here, I've got a huge library of books. Doesn't even come close to all of the business books that I read. I'm a book geek, wrote my own book, right? If you don't have my book in your hands, wait till the end. I'm going to, give that to you for free as a digital download. But this idea really started formulating of this: how do you create a customer experience that sets you up so far ahead of everybody else? Okay. And we're going to talk about a lot of these things here today, and I'm going to outline the entire system that we have it as right now. And this is something, again, that is a work in progress. It's something that we have been working with a couple of our clients on. It's something that we're going to be rolling out to a couple of more of our customers, more of our clients in the next, 3 quarters for the rest of 2026. Okay. If you don't know me, I like to use memes. Okay. On a lot of our slides here. Right. So our problem that we're faced with here is that most roofers think that they lose jobs on price. Well, the reality is that's not true in most cases. Most cases you lose because people don't trust you. Your reputation is not good, right? You haven't demonstrated that you are the absolute expert, and you haven't given them all of the things that the homeowner needs in order to know, like, and trust you. Okay. Part of that is part of your marketing, and we're going to talk about this. Part of it is also the sales process itself, Um, so the problem is that they think that they lose on price, but that's just not true, right? The average roofing company has no system for what happens after the job. When someone trusts you to come out and do the job, that's great, right? Most of the roofers that I talk with use subcontractors, like 99% of y'all do. There's typically not even a foreman that speaks English out on job sites. All right. Now let that set in. If you were the homeowner, you got to put yourself in. That's part of this whole Disney-like experience. Okay, is that we've got to put ourselves in the homeowner's shoes. How would that make you feel if you can't even communicate with people doing work on your house? Okay, so that's just a tiny aspect of all of this. All right. The other aspects that go into all of this and how do we create this Disney-like experience is how do we take it step by step and create this customer journey that allows us to put ourselves into the shoes of our homeowners, our customers, all along the way. If you don't have a plan for how you're going to do this from the very beginning, right? You're just shooting off the hip, then most likely you're giving a poor customer experience. Okay. If you think of Disney, and I guess let's go back to why a Disney-like experience. Well, my wife, right, worked at Disney. I heard all sorts of stories. She worked at Disney as an intern. Almost didn't go back to Texas A&M because of that. You know, she was at the tail end, about to graduate. You know, in the next semester. She almost didn't come back because she had such a great experience there. She had so much fun working for this place, right? So imagine if you can create that same experience with not only your employees but also with your customers, how much you're going to grow your company, right? And that's really what everything that we do here at Marketing Heroes is all about. Okay? Systems are how you do this, okay? No system equals no reviews, referrals equals no repeat business whatsoever. Okay? Systems, on the other hand, when you put systems in place and when you take time to engineer that process and that service and that system, again, that sets you above and beyond any other roofing company in your service area because no one has actually sat down and said, okay, what do we do in this step? What do we do in this step? What do we do in this step? Okay. So that's what this is all about. We're going to talk about some systems today from a high bird's eye view. We're going to dig in a little bit on a few of these things. Okay. Disney, right? And going back to why Disney doesn't deliver a service. They deliver that system. Okay. They broke it down. Walt Disney broke it down when he built Disney World. Okay. He said, I want this to be this, right? And I want a great example is that their trash cans, and I don't know if you know this, their trash cans in their parks go to an underground system. Their employees travel from place to place in an underground system at Disney World. Okay. At that time, if you go to Six Flags, okay, that's not going to be the case whatsoever. You're going to walk by a stinky trash can with bees and flies. You're possibly going to be eating next to that trash can because there's nowhere else to eat, right? Disney, however, said, we're not going to do that mess, right? We're not going to do that at all. We're going to make it to where people love this place it's so much that they're going to want to come back here every single year from now on until they die. Okay. How do we build this for ourselves? All right. So this whole system from a bird's eye standpoint, right? We have three phases, right? And when I started mapping this out for ourselves, for our clients, for, you know, it really comes down to three stages. You know, the sales experience, then you've got an operations experience, right? What happens during the operations, okay? And then your third part is what happens after you're done with the job, okay? Most of y'all, I guarantee, just walk away. You don't even bother to call them back, much less email them back, because I've talked to y'all. I've talked to thousands of y'all. Okay, thousands of roofing company owners, and almost nobody gets back, i.e., sends an email back, calls back, sends an SMS back to people after you've done the job. It's just You just go on to the next job and the next job and the next job and the next job. Okay. But it could be so much better. Oh, got a nice little dancing guy, right? If you implement everything in here, right, that we're going to talk about today, this is going to be you, right, in the future here, dancing, super happy after you've done everything here. All right, so we've jumped into all this, all the problems, somewhat outlined the system. All right, who am I? My name is Chris Hunter. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Roofer Marketing Heroes. I'm also the author of the Ultimate Guide to Digital Marketing for Roofers. If you don't have this in your hand, by the way, right, you can go to Amazon right now and you can purchase this. It's 336 pages of the exact blueprint of what we do for our clients. It's a few years old. I need to update it, but it includes the framework of what we do for our clients. Okay. We are members of the NRCA, RCAT, HARCA, which is, I'm going to have to spell it all out, National Roofing Contractors Association, the Roofing Contractors Association of Texas, and the Houston Area Roofing Contractors Association, right? We're deeply embedded in the roofing industry. Personally, I've been doing search engine optimization. That's what SEO stands for since 1998. That super, super dates me. I have been doing it a really, really long time. Okay. My first site that I ranked was my own personal website, and I ranked it on Yahoo, right? That really, really dates me. This is before Google was even around, right? My son doesn't even understand, what that was before Google. Okay. Random fact, I have coached baseball and softball for 15 plus years. This is the first semester that I think in a long time that I haven't coached. My daughter is in high school softball. I've been coaching a long, long time, right? Just a super random fact about me. We are on a mission to double the size of 100 roofing companies before 2028. Okay. All of my employees understand this. This is our big, hairy, audacious goal. All right. Is to double the size of 100 roofing companies. And really what we like to envision ourselves and talk about ourselves, Roofer Marketing Heroes, is that we're not just a marketing agency, we're your growth partner. Okay. We're here to help you. Part of that mission, besides, doing the book, is that we do these workshops every single month. And in fact, I was just telling everyone here that this is my 56th webinar, workshop, whatever you want to call it, in a row. Okay. So we're deeply committed to giving you the information that you need in your hands in order to grow your roofing company. We're not here to talk about me, so I'm going to real quickly go over the framework that I go over in my book. Okay. It's a 4R roofing marketing system, and it is made up of 4 pillars. The 4 pillars are simple: reputation, right? This is your base. This is your foundation of everything that you do. You can apply this framework, by the way, to your sales. Okay. So everything that we talk about here goes along with your sales. And some of these things that we're going to talk about today fit inside of here. Okay. So your reputation is the base pillar. It's your foundation, just like a house, right? If your reputation stinks, if your reputation doesn't exist, i.e. you're underneath 100 reviews, if either of those two happens, or people go to your website and it takes forever to load, or they go to your social media and they don't see posts for the past year, right? It hurts your reputation. Nothing that you do in the other pillars is really going to help. Okay. So the next pillar is reach, getting in front of more people today than knew about yesterday. Okay. This is what 99.999% of the people that we talk with come to us about, right? These are things like search engine optimization, like pay-per-click, like Facebook ads, you name it. It's all the ways to get in front of people. Okay. And that's what the reach pillar is all about. Now, something to note about this whole system, this framework, is that as things stop working, you simply pull them out and put something else in that does work. Okay. We're constantly in research and development mode here. A great example of this is when I first went into business in the early 2000s. I was told by all my friends at the Chamber of Commerce when I joined, they said, "Hey, you've got to go get an ad in the Yellow Pages." I was like, "Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll throw $500 at this, a month." Well, we did. The cool part was that my business partner at the time was very, very good at tech, right? So he put a tracking number on that. We tracked absolutely everything, where people came from, all that kind of things. All right. So we put a tracking number on that Yellow Pages ad that was specific to that Yellow Pages ad. When people came to us, right, we would also ask them, where did you find us? Okay. Almost always it was Google. Almost always, because we had done for ourselves back then what we now do for our clients. Okay. And we'd kicked everybody's butt on Google. So, and back then with the Yellow Pages, if you don't remember that, they had a sales guy that would come around and try to upsell you on a bigger ad for the next year. Okay. And possibly even for the same ad, they would charge more. Okay. So he came around, I pulled the records. I had 0 phone calls from that phone number, meaning that the Yellow Pages didn't produce a single result. This was in 2001. All right. So guess what? I told the Yellow Pages guy to go hit bricks. Okay. My point here is that that was never really in my system. It was at the very beginning, but part of this system right here never was. So if it were, we would just simply pull it out and replace it with something else. Okay. Next, resell, right? You're 8 times more likely to sell to somebody that has had a positive experience with you in the past. Very few roofing companies go back to their database and go back to try to resell to the same people. And I know it's hard, right? Roofs, they last 20, 30 years. But guess what? Hailstorms happen. We have a client up in the DFW area that is super busy right now because of the high winds, right? Heard this morning that he's actually has 11 appointments a day right now, simply because they had everything's lifting up. All those shingles are lifting up, right? On his customers, but also people that just need help. My point here is that you need to sell back to those people over and over and over again. We like to run reactivation campaigns, is what we call them. We go back to the database and we do some cross selling, like gutters, windows, siding, solar, you name it, whatever your service is, we can go back to that database over and over and over again. Very few of y'all do this. Okay. So that's the third pillar, resell. The fourth pillar is referrals, right? Because at the beginning, when we first go into business, we do a really, really good job of getting referrals. Okay. But as we scale our business and we hire other salespeople, most of y'all don't actually formalize what that referral program is. Okay. You don't have it on your website. You don't have it in all of your communications. Your employees have no idea about it, that it even exists. So they can't tell anybody about it. Right. So referrals are super, super, super important for growing any business. Okay. And what we're going to talk about here today is going to help with getting those referrals. All right. That's the system for our framework: reputation, reach, resell, and referral. So what I want you to do now is use this QR code, right, and download our workbook. I typically don't do this until the very end because I want you hyper focused on what I'm talking about. However, there's going to be a few sections in here to where you can, take notes and stuff like that inside of the workbook. Go to roofermarketingheroes.com/CX workbook. Okay. Or use the QR code that's on the screen right now, or the link that Rochelle has shared out. I'm going to leave this up here for a few seconds. Go ahead and download it. Okay. So phase 1, remember we have the 3 different phases, right? The 3 main areas that we're going to focus on here, right, with this system. The first is the sales experience before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale. Okay. So what we want to talk about here is that nobody in the roofing industry, maybe some people have, and like I talked about earlier, the private equity groups are coming in and they've got these systems already and they're just simply deploying those. But if we think about each one of these steps before the sale, after the sale, before the sale, during the sale, and then after the sale, okay, how can we improve those 3 systems to maximize getting sales, right? That's the first job. All right. So before the sale, all right, we need to think through our customer experience there, right? Before the sale, we've got all the things that are accounted for inside of marketing. You've got a great website, you've got good reviews, you've got posts happening on social media, so that when people go and research you, right, they see that you're a reputable company, you've got reputable jobs, you do a great job, right? If you've got those things in place, that helps before the sale. The other part is, do you answer your phones? I know y'all don't. I know this for a fact because we call y'all. Okay. We call every single person in our own database like constantly. So we know that y'all don't answer your phones. Clients coming into us, right? They don't answer their phones either. So much so that we had a call center, right? We just fired that call center because we built an AI, voice AI bot called Samantha that answers your phone for you when you don't. But that would be the first step. Answer your phones, pick up the phones, make sure you have someone that is sitting there dedicated to answering your phones. And in fact, I say have two people, because when that person is on the phone with someone else, they're in the restroom or they're at lunch, someone else is picking up the phone. Okay, have backups. The phones are important in our industry. They're so important in our industry, and that's the very first step of providing an excellent customer experience. Number two, on this one, I will say, do not have a phone tree. We have tested this before. Press 1 for sales, press 2 for operations. Most homeowners will hang right up and go down the line. Okay. No one wants to mess with pressing 1 or 2. I don't know why. Seems like a pretty easy thing to do, but we've tested it over and over and over again, and it fails every single time. Okay. So don't have that. Have it go to a real human that picks it up. 3, make sure that that person actually says the name of your company. We had a client that was picking up the phone, and as we listened to it, it just floored me. He would answer, "Yeah, Jimmy." And every single time you would hear the person on the other end of the line go, "Is this a roofing company?" That destroys trust. That destroys your reputation from the get-go. You're not going to get that sale. I guarantee that. Answer the phone politely. "Hey, this is Chris. How can I help you?" Answer with a smile. My wife learned this at Disney, right? Answer with a smile. Because if you answer with a smile, it ends up in the tone of your voice. Okay. "Hey, this is Chris. How can I help you?" Nice and friendly. Okay. Other things that I will say on this part right here is that make sure that whoever is answering the phone knows your actual services. Make sure that they know your service area, right? Do I go to Hearn, Texas? Yes, we go to Hearn, Texas. Absolutely. Instead of, "Oh, let me check with somebody about that." What are they going to think, right? The homeowner's going to think, "Well, these people aren't even local here," right? I'm in College Station, Texas, right? So Hearn is kind of local here. But those people are going to think, "Oh, is this company, just a lead gen company out of Houston?" Right? They're going to send someone up here, and they're not even local. They're not going to be able to help us when something breaks. Destroys trust, right? Anything that destroys trust, we want to take that out of any of your systems whatsoever. Now, all of the stuff, if you notice that I've been talking about here, besides the actual framework, the marketing framework, and all that kind of stuff, none of this is really about marketing. This is all about the customer experience, and that's what we're talking about, right? Okay, so answer the phones. Make sure that they know the service area. Make sure that they know your services, right? Do not put someone on hold, because guess what's going to happen? They are going to hang up and go right down the line to the next roofer that's going to answer their phone. Okay. Number 3, that person answering the phone really needs to be setting the appointment. Qualify the person, make sure that they're the homeowner, and then set the appointment. Okay. If you take the contact information and hand it off to a salesperson, that by the time that salesperson bothers to get back with them the next day or two, that person is long gone. Okay. So set the appointment. Get on the schedule that solves the homeowner's problem. They might call 1 or 2 other roofing companies, but most likely they won't. Okay. So that's part of this section here. answering the phones. All right. Super, super important. We've seen this time and time again improve the sales because sales and marketing go hand in hand, right? If sales does not work, marketing is not going to work. Okay. We've had clients that had like a 3%, 3% close rate off of cold leads. That no matter how many leads that we send to them, it's not going to work. Okay. And this is one of those things. Answer the phones all the time. Now, do you have to answer during off hours? So I had a client, and as we were listening to the phone calls, I had one that answered at 11 o'clock at night. He cussed out that person that called him. He cussed him out. Why the F are you calling me at 11 o'clock at night? I called him up the next morning. I said, hey, maybe you shouldn't answer the phone at 11 o'clock at night. Just let that one go to the voicemail. Okay. Or let that go to the call center, or even better, let Samantha pick that up. We didn't have a Samantha back then. Okay. Wow. I was floored, right? That completely not only destroyed the trust with that homeowner, possibly killed his reputation because that person probably left a bad review. Because if I got a leak and I call somewhere, I don't expect you to pick up, but I do expect you to be professional if you do pick up. Okay. All right. So that's before the sale. All right. During the sale, all right, make sure that you come out prepared. Make sure that, and this should go without saying, but make sure that you show up looking professional. Make sure you show up looking professional in a professional looking truck, not a beat up old truck, right? Make sure that you've got it wrapped with your logo on it, possibly. It doesn't have to be the fanciest truck in the world, right? We see those all the time, big jacked up truck. Me and my friends have a joke about that, but that's for another time. Make sure that you show up professionally, right? You come professionally prepared at the door. Now, what do you come prepared with? I would say bring an iPad. Okay. I say make sure that you come prepared in the fact that you have an estimate already ready to go. Okay. Use a service like Roofle or Roofr, right? There's lots of these services out there nowadays that you can get the estimate almost completely done by the time that before you even come out to the appointment, right? To give the estimate. All right. Make sure you show up in a professional looking shirt and hat, possibly. Smile. Don't stink, right? Put some gum in your mouth, whatever it takes to be professional. Okay. That's that part. Get up on the roof, do your thing, come back down, say, hey, give me a few minutes, go out to your truck. Okay. Take your iPad, your laptop, whatever that you have, get the estimate finalized, take it back into that homeowner. If they get that in their hands before you leave, that makes you look so much more professional than the other roofers that are coming out to them. And that's what this is all about. It's a good customer experience, right? Okay. Now, after the sale, what do you do after? Okay. So let me give you two different stories here. All right. The first story is that 3% client. Okay. What did they do after the sale? Well, they probably followed up once. All right. Did you get the estimate? Blah, blah, blah. Because they probably I know that they did not send that out. They sent that out the next day, possibly a week later. I've had clients that sent them out almost a month later, and you're like, what are you doing, man? Right? Send it out that day at the very worst. Okay. Get back to the office, shoot it out. I like the idea of having it ready, presented, ready to go. Okay. Because right then, when you're right there, you can answer any objections that they have. Okay. You can fix their problem. And that's what this is all about. Okay. After the sale, let's say that we didn't set an appointment to come back out to talk with them, which I highly, highly recommend. Right. If you don't do that, what do? Well, you have to follow up. You have to call them. You have to SMS. You have to text. Okay. The roofer with a 3% close rate may be called once, maybe. And guess what? Their sales, you could tell at the end of the day, all of the leads coming in and how many they actually closed into sales was very evident that they had their sales system was broken. Okay. Let me tell about another client that we have that closes on average, right? A 40% close rate. All right. And this is for the past 2 years that we've worked together. They also have on average a 56x on their marketing spend. For every dollar that they put into their marketing engine, they get $56 back. It's because their sales are so good. They follow up, and I asked them. I said, how are your sales so much better than all these other people, right? Because they ranged anywhere between 3 to 10%, maybe 20%. Okay. And I asked them, how are you so much better? And they said, we just call. We call once a week. All right. We call within 24 hours, making sure that they got the estimate in hand, that didn't go to spam, right? That if they have any questions, let us know, right? The salesperson calls that next day so that they can answer any of those. Number two, after that, they have their back end people that are answering their phones call and 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 call. They call for 6 months. They are relentless with it, but it's not a pushy sales call, right? It's just the opposite. It's hey, just want to make sure that you got your problem fixed, right? And see if you need anything from us. Simple conversation, but none of y'all do this. Okay? So that's after the sale. So most roofers go completely silent, right? And we've got a meme here if you're listening to this on the podcast later, because all of this stuff gets repurposed to the podcast. You've got a picture of a skeleton sitting there next to a computer with a whole bunch of cobwebs with the caption of homeowner waiting for any communication after signing the contract, right? This is after they've actually signed the contract. What happens then, right? These are people that hopefully you did follow up with. Okay. Now what? Okay. You want to make sure that you're calling them, scheduling the appointment to come out there and scheduling all of the stuff that needs to happen in between, right? But the biggest part of that is that you've got to communicate back to the homeowner what you're doing. Simple thing, but very few of y'all actually do this. You might set the appointment for the job date, right, to go out there, but that's the only communication. There are some steps in here that you can take. You can automate some of these. Some of these are also just customer service type things, calls, right, to them from either the foreman, project manager, whatever you want to call that person. Okay. Making sure, and again, this could be those admin staff that are sitting there answering your phones. Okay. That you hopefully have. All right. Calling, making sure that they understand what the steps are going to be in between now and when their job's going to get taken care of. Okay. How to prepare their site. Make sure you got the dogs inside, make sure that you pick up, and this was a strange one that we just recently heard. Make sure that you pick up the dog poop in the backyard. Okay. Cause the roofers we don't like stepping on that. Right. Set some expectations. This is what's going to happen. We're going to be there at 7 a.m. right? Or we're going to be there at 8. I don't know what time that your crews come out, right? Make sure that happens, okay, that they don't show up late. And if they do, obviously you want to make a good customer service call. Hey, we're running a little bit late, right? Just set the expectations. I think that's the biggest part of all of this, is setting expectations and then following through with those expectations. Okay. So communicate out with them, communicate during the job, right? What's going on? And these are really in the different phases. I'm just starting to go into all of this here. All right. The roofer that communicates best wins the review and the referral. Those are two big, huge things that we want. Review for your base pillar. Remember the reputation pillar. Referral is also the fourth pillar. Okay. Referrals are gold. You're going to close referrals at about anywhere between 60 to 80% of those. We want those, right? Everybody wants those. So let's talk about the operations experience. I already talked into this, right? Before, during, and after the job, right? Before the job, make sure that you're you know, having a nurture sequence, right? We call them in marketing, we call these nurture sequences. Basically, when getting someone from one step to the next step in your pipeline, right? Or in this case, in your job, okay? Setting those expectations, but also making sure that they don't have buyer's remorse, okay? What I like to do and what we do here in house is that when we make a sale, we send out, and we use edible arrangements for this. We send out an edible arrangement, typically brownies and cookies, because we figured out that if we send someone fruit and it goes to a PO box, okay, it's probably going to go bad. And that's not a good customer experience, right? So we send out nowadays cookies and brownies when a sale is made for us. The clients that we're talking about, we're building this into their system to where they send out at a very minimum a thank you card. Okay. That's written by the salesperson, at least, right? Their main point of contact. The business card goes with it. You know, if you have any questions during this entire process, I'm always here. Okay. And we do that right away, the second that the sale is made. And that's simply because we want to counteract buyer's remorse. We want to let them know that we're in good hands, that they're in good hands. The homeowner is in good hands, right? Because buyer's remorse is real and it happens the second that they sign that contract. Okay. So we want them to progress. We want the entire job to go through. We want them to be happy about the entire job. Now, let's talk about during the job. All right. What do you do during the job? Well, you make sure, one, that your crews are professional. Okay. I like to tell people, make sure they're in branded shirts, right? So you can see for us, we've got, Roofer Marketing Heroes shirts, right? Same things with your crews. Make sure that they have theirs. And I understand there's sub crews, but you can ask them to put on your shirts while they're out there on your job, right? Most of these sub crews will do that. Okay. Make sure that when people drive by, they see all of the same colored shirt. Okay. Whatever your brand is. We've got a roofing company here in College Station. They're a huge roofing company, right? I was out on a walk one day. I'm in the roofing industry. I understand what should happen, right? I walk by their job site, right? They're out on a job. I'm doing a commercial job, mind you, right? A bigger job. Not a single person had on, they all had like 50 different colored shirts on. Okay. Their trailer was not branded. Okay. Catching all the debris was not branded, right? The trucks out on site were not branded. And that surprised me. But yet there was a yard sign out in front of this office building with this specific company's name on it. And I was just floored because this is a very big company in our area, and I would assume that they would be super, super, super professional, right? They drive around in all of their branded trucks all the time, but none of those trucks out there were branded at all. And some of them were beat up. That trailer looked like it had seen better days, right? They weren't using a catch-all system. They weren't using an equipter. They weren't using any of that stuff that made them, their brand stand out. Okay. And by the way, these are the things that you can do during the job to help you stand out. Okay. And that's simply because, and that's what this next slide is all about, the neighbors are watching, right? This is the easiest real estate that you can take up. You're right in front of everybody. If you bothered to go get that job, don't you want all the other houses around there? Right? Absolutely. Right. So make sure that everyone's professional on the job. Now, post job, let's talk about that. Okay. Post job, we've got all sorts of things that happen. All right. What I like to do, and this goes along with what I talked about earlier, send out a gift basket. Okay. This is the stage where you can do that after the job is completed. Okay. Send out that gift basket, make that homeowner go, wow, because that's what we want. We want this wow experience, right? That's what a Disney like experience is. It's a wow. No roofing company sends out a thank you anything whatsoever, right? Next, send out a thank you card from the owner of the business with a business card that says, contact me if anything ever goes wrong. Do it. I mean, it makes you stand out. Okay. Especially if it's a handwritten card. It's not just a printed out card and something generic sent out. Okay. There are systems out there, by the way, and this is what we're starting to work on with a couple of our clients here. There are a couple of services like Dope Marketing that you can use that does the handwriting with a robot's hand in your handwriting. It can be automated. All right. So think about that. Add that to your system. By the way, also while you're there, make sure you take job site photos. Okay. These are gold. Job site photos are gold for all of your marketing. Okay. To go on your website, to go on your social media, to be used in ads, to be used in any marketing materials that you create, whether that's a brochure, a folder, anything like that, right? You can use these job site photos, especially on the bigger, nicer jobs. For that, I like the ones with the house in the background, right, with the sign out front, kind of at a 45-degree angle, and you're looking at the house, but you see the sign right there. That brands that photo for you. It keeps any competitors from being able to go to your website and steal your photos. Okay. The other ones that I like is when homeowners, and we've done this for a couple of our clients, have a sign that says 100% satisfied on it, and they're holding it up in front of their house. Okay. If they're willing to do a video testimonial, pull out that $1,000 machine sitting in your pocket right now and ask them 3 questions. Ask them, what did we do? Right? Well, who are you? What did we do? And what would you tell someone sitting on the fence? Okay, those 3 questions. Because if they answer those 3 questions, you can use that again in all of your marketing, including nurture campaigns that go out pre-sale, during the sale, after the sale, during the job. Like these are all things that you can build into this system. Make sure that you have a professional warranty folder, right? You can get these things made at like Vistaprint or even Canva.com does these things now, right? They print out these, you can print out a very professional looking folder. Make sure that you have your review card in it with a QR code that goes to your reviews, right? So they can easily go leave you a review. Okay. Don't be afraid of that. Hopefully you've done a great job and they've had a wow experience. After they've gotten those cookies, maybe they'll go out and leave a review for you. That, wow, these guys went above and beyond. Step number 6 is send out a review campaign. All right. We add them to a review campaign the second that a job is closed because that is their peak happiness moment. Okay. So we have a system that we call the referral machine. All right. I call everything machines because I worked on this machine back here sitting behind me, the F-117 in the Air Force when I was in the Air Force. But add them to a nurture campaign to help them leave a review for you. Okay. Make it easy for them to leave a review. Next, add them into a referral campaign. All right. Each one of those campaigns, by the way, should have an SMS, should have an email, probably 3 or 4 of those on each one of those steps. Okay. And then follow it up with a phone call. Because that's what good customer service does. Okay. You call. The key to this is that when the job ends, make sure that the system takes over. Okay. The system can include tasks for your staff to call, by the way. If they don't close that task out, right, you know that they didn't call. make it trackable inside of your CRM. Every single one of these can do this. Every single one of the CRMs can do most of this stuff that we're talking about here. Ours does 100% of it. Okay, so I'm going to ask you all a real gut check question here. How many of y'all's businesses is currently running like this so far? Just these two phases so far, before the sale and before the sale and during the sale, during the job, sorry. Honestly, all of this, what hinges on all of this is consistency, right? Business owners were not always consistent, but if we build the system and hand it off to our employees, or build the system and the bots, the AI bots take it over, or it's automated via software, it makes everything way more consistent. You make sure that it happens every single job. All right. The roofer who follows up the best gets the most reviews, right? Gets the most referrals, gets the lowest cost per lead. That's so true, right? Follow up in sales is key. Okay. Follow up after the job is also key. So here's the math that most roofing company owners haven't even connected yet. Every 5-star Google review that you earn reduces your cost per lead from Google. Every single one of them. Okay. And I'm only going to say this out of love of my heart for y'all. None of y'all have placed enough importance on getting reviews, right? This is a constant battle with us and our clients, is to get reviews on a steady basis. That's the key to winning at Google, is steadiness, consistency, getting reviews every single time. If you implement a few of the things that I've talked about here, it's going to make it a heck of a lot easier, okay, for your staff to be able to do that. But every 5-star review reduces that cost per lead. And additionally, with the addition of AI, right, and more people doing their research on AI using either ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, whatever, okay, those reviews matter more and more and more. Okay. Referrals, they close a lot easier. We want to make sure that we get that. Okay. We want to make sure that we get referrals in, because they're so much easier. It's such an easier sale, isn't it? Okay. Follow up is the key, though, to all of it. Okay. I will tell you that right now, and I've been telling you this. Next, let's talk about customer service, right? I talked about it at the very beginning of this. And I know for a fact, none of y'all do this. I dare you, put a 1 here if you call every single quarter to every single one of your homeowners. Put a 1 in the chat. Not seeing anything. Nope. So it's key, though, if you want to grow. I'm reading a book right now called Outgrow by Alex Goldfein, right? The whole premise of this entire book is following up with your customers on a regular basis and making a system of doing that. Your past customers are the cheapest source of new revenue. They're cheap. You've already paid to get them in the door, right? Most of us pay $150 to $300 per sale, possibly upwards of $500 just to actually make that sale, right? If you have a 3% close rate, I don't even want to know what you're spending, because that client that we had was spending $30,000 a month. And when I showed them the numbers of the other company, they're like, whoa, they're spending less than I am. I'm like, yes, that's what happens, right? They're spending less than you are to make more sales than you are, because the sales process is great. But the customer service aspect is what will set you head and shoulders apart. It will get you way more referrals. Okay. Just like the roofing company owner that I interviewed, right, that I talked about at the beginning of this, right? Because he knew that one person that he contacted every single quarter for 20 years, 30 years, is probably going to send him 10 to 20 referrals. because it's just good customer service. And by the way, you don't always get the people that you're calling on the phone, right? That's okay to leave a voicemail. It's okay to leave a voicemail. Most of the time, about 80, 90% of the time, you're going to leave a voicemail anyways, but have a point to call those people, right? In this book, in Outgrow, they call it a did you know or reverse did you know, right? Did you know is, did you know that we have this other service, right? Hey, Mr. Homeowner, just wanted to check in on how your roof is doing. This is the voicemail, by the way. Just want to check in, see how your roof was doing. Just, following up with you on that. Also want to let you know, did you know that we do solar now? If you ever know anybody that needs solar or you're interested in solar, just feel free to give us a call. Imagine if you do that. So let's do the math here, right? You do 100 jobs a year, let's say, right? A smaller company and do around 100 jobs per year. You follow up with 100 people every single quarter, right? Sounds daunting. That's 33 people that you have to follow up with per business day. All right? Am I doing my math right on that one? So there's 20 business days. No, 5 people that you have to follow up with per business day. If you called them all in one singular month, you can spread that out. Okay. Alex's premise on Outgrow is call 3 people a day. How easy is that? And most of them are going to go to voicemail. Okay. 3 people a day. You don't have to do this yourself, by the way. You can have someone do this for you. Those people that are answering your phones, you could have them do this in their spare time because this is going to take about 10 minutes per day. Okay. As a good customer service call to call every single person in your database. Now, of course, as you grow, that's going to become a little bit more that they're going to have to do. Add a person in to do that. Okay. But when they need a roofer, guess who's going to be top of mind? Is it the people that aren't calling them, that aren't sending them anything, that aren't following up on SMS or anything like that? No, it's going to be the people that are following up, right? Because what we want to happen is that when that storm comes through, we are top of mind. They know exactly who their roofer is. They know exactly who their guy is or girl. They know. They've got that in their pocket. They know that, oh crap, I've got to call Chris. I've got a leak. My guy's Bill, by the way. So you want to be top of mind. And the way to do this is through a couple of different things. All right. First of all, we've got 4 different channels, right? That we're going to use here. All right. 4 channels every quarter, no matter what. Okay. Postcard. You can send a postcard out, right, to that homeowner. Let them know that, hey, we're thinking about you. Let us know if there are any issues with your roof. Number 2, a phone call. Super easy. We just outline that, right? A couple of those a day. Probably do it. An email that goes out. This could be automated. And then a text message, which can also be automated. Okay. Every single touch in a quarter that you're doing is just an added touch that they're getting from you. Oh, and by the way, if you're in our systems, then they're also getting a monthly newsletter because I think that that's the ultimate leverage tool. Okay, is to package everything up that you're doing in your marketing and send that out to your whole database. Again, top of mind awareness. So every single touch, you want to make sure that you're following up and checking in. Number 2, you could cross sell. Did you know that we also offer solar? Hey, while I've got you, you mind if I noticed that you haven't left a review yet? Would you mind leaving a review? I'll send you that link right now. Great. Thank you so much. Who else do you know that needs help with their roof? Simple questions, right? This is exactly what the phone call should be. All right. You can build most of this in at one time under a system, and it just happens like clockwork. Okay. In our CRM, the appointment machine, this would automate almost all of this. You still have to make the phone call, but the rest of it is automated. Okay. 4 channels, 4 touches, 4 ways of getting back in front of the people that liked you to begin with enough to hire you to do a job. Most of y'all just, and I've heard this, I've heard this so many times over the past 20 years. Just send me leads. Just send me leads, Chris. Just send me leads. But it's all these other things, right, that are going to lower your cost per acquisition per each one of those new roofs or jobs, right? It could be a gutter job, could be siding if you offer siding, could be windows, whatever, right? It's stuff that's putting money in your pocket. So why wouldn't you do it? So let me ask you, where are you leaving money right now on the table? Any of the things that I've talked about here today, where are you failing? Where do you need to add to your system? Right? Think about that. Now, next, think about the top 3 things that you can do immediately within the next week to 2 weeks that will improve your customer service experience so much that people say, wow, I've never had a roofing company do this for me. Okay. Think about those. What can you implement right now? And I'm going to end all of this with what I started with. Do what everyone else isn't doing. Nobody in the industry sends out cookies or brownies. Nobody. Because I've talked to y'all. I've asked. I know that, and every time that I've mentioned it to people, they're like, wow, that's a great idea. I need to do that. Yeah. Or when I ask about thank you cards, do they send out thank you cards? They're like, yeah, I did that at the beginning, but I haven't sent one out in years. Why not? That's such an easy thing to do. If you have 5 jobs per week, why not sit down one time a week and write out 5 thank you cards? Simple act, right? But it sets you heads and shoulders above everybody else. RoofingSites.com. Since 2018, RoofingSites.com has helped roofers double their sales by getting their marketing right using the 4R roofing marketing system. If you're a roofing company owner wanting to grow your business, be sure to go to RoofingSites.com and sign up for a roofing marketing strategy session with me. Now that you stayed here to the end, I'm going to reward you. You get a free book, right? Free digital copy of my book. Use the QR code that's on the screen right now, or go to go.roofingmarketingheroes.com. Sorry, roofermarketingheroes.com. Use the link that Rochelle just pasted into the chat. I'll leave this up here for a second. If you're listening to this on the podcast, just go to our website at roofermarketingheroes.com and scroll about halfway down, I think, something like that. You'll see me holding the book just like this in this picture, going like this right here. You can download it from there. Okay. That's 336 pages. I know it's a lot, but it's the exact blueprint of what we do for our clients. Next, if you're a roofing company owner that likes to know how all this stuff works, but doesn't have the time, patience, knowledge to do any of this stuff, we'd love to help you out. What we've outlined here today is exactly what we're going to be outlining, what we're going to be rolling out to our clients. Most of it we have already. Some of the parts are in progress, but it can be done and it should be done because it sets us ahead of everybody else. And that's what we want to be at. That's where we want to live. Okay. Doing stuff that nobody else does. All right. We're going to end it. Y'all have a great weekend. Have a great month. We'll see you back here for our next webinar, our next workshop, which is going to be cool. AI for roofers. So if you're an AI geek or even not a geek, you want to know what's going on, that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be outlining how to build an AI operating system for your business. This is going to be pretty cool. So we will see you guys next month. See ya.